Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I played it on the Xbox One. It's also available on the PS4 and PC, I believe. Infinite Warfare got an obscene amount of hate with its launch trailer and before its release, and while I'm not going to say that I was overly excited for it, I also don't think it's that fair to judge the game entirely just by a trailer. So firstly, we'll just start with the campaign, which was actually surprising to me. It definitely shot for making you feel the feels, and it wasn't a terrible story. And it was actually far superior to Black Ops 3, but that's not really setting the bar high since Black Ops 3 made no damn sense. I honestly don't feel like Infinite Warfare has the worst campaign in the Call of Duty universe. That having been said, I also don't think it's that good of a campaign either. It's perfectly mediocre, and like I said, it tries to make you feel the feels, and it would succeed so much better at that if it wasn't set in the unrealistic timeline of 24 hours. Supposedly, the entire campaign takes place in 24 hours, which is just freaking unbelievable with all the shit that happens. It makes it really hard to believe that some of these friendships that near the end feel like they were like forged in steel over years and months of working together could be formed in 24 hours. Also, Infinite Warfare runs into the problem that I've had with other games in the past where the main bad guy, played by Kit Harington, which is a waste, is basically, I'm evil for the sake of evil. I'm rah 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 rah. Villain, evil, ha ha ha. Kind of shit, and you're just like, I don't know, I prefer my villains with a bit more depth, and he has no reason to be doing what he's doing other than to be doing it? Now, as far as the audio goes, I actually really enjoyed the sound in this game. I think they did a very good job with it. I think the gun sound effects were excellent, even the ones that were energy weapons. They felt very satisfying to fire. And that's coming from me, a guy who hates laser weapons and energy weapons in games. They made it sound satisfying, even though you weren't firing bullets. That having been said, the guns that fired bullets sounded really good as well. The sound effects in general just made you feel immersed in the world. When you're flying the Jackal, those sound effects are very good. They make you feel like you're flying, although in reality, I guess a lot of those sound effects wouldn't exist because they're happening in space. But that's a science thing that I'm not going to delve into because it's a video game. I guess the last thing for the sound would definitely be the voiceover work, which I think is very well done for the most part. I feel like, again, Kit Harington's character, the main villain, whose name isn't even worth remembering, obviously, as I can't remember it. So when it comes to the gameplay, this is a first-person shooter. Infinity Ward has been making these for a long time. So they know the basic ins and outs, and to put it simply, I didn't feel like this did anything too revolutionary. Like I mentioned earlier, you do get to fly in this game, and it feels pretty good and a little too simple at times. But since I wasn't overly invested in this game, I'm okay with that simplicity. When I say simple, I specifically mean when you're flying the Jackal. In those sections, basically, once you lock on to an enemy, it goes into autopilot mode, so you can focus on aiming, and like I said, it's kind of lazy, and since I wasn't overly invested, I'm perfectly down with that. The campaign is fairly short, but I like the way they laid it out. It's different than in the past. It's not necessarily linear. There's a bunch of side missions you can do as you see fit, and you do it from the console of the ship you're in charge of. Then you've got the multiplayer, which is every Call of Duty multiplayer you've ever played, really. Honestly, it feels a lot more like Advanced Warfare did, rather than Black Ops 3. And I say that because they have an enhanced movement system, but it's not as smooth. It feels very sluggish, whereas I didn't feel that way when I was playing Black Ops 3. Also, the way most of these maps are laid out, and due to the sluggish nature of it, it's not the most practical thing to try and wall run and fire and do crazy shit like that, which you could obviously do in Black Ops 3, and I did quite a bit of, whereas in Infinite Warfare, I just feel like, it's something they were trying to do to compete with the concept that Titanfall originally started, but there wasn't any real need for it in this game. That having been said, I didn't find myself overly invested in the multiplayer. I have definitely invested more time in previous Call of Duty multiplayers and other multiplayers this year. I will say I went up against guys with like the epic guns and things like that, and I had one of my own, not quite epic, but point being, pay to win, not really. The guns don't matter that much in this game, or at least not if you play hardcore mode, because, well, hardcore mode is kind of the great equalizer. In the multiplayer, you'll still find all the regular team deathmatch, kill confirm, domination, capture the flag, all those modes that have been in every other Call of Duty for like the past decade or so. When it comes to the controls, Infinity Ward has made first-person shooters for years upon years, so they know what they're doing. The controls are tight, they work very well, although I'm not sure if it's a lag issue or if it really is a bullet registration issue. When I was playing the multiplayer, I ran into a few points where I definitely shot the person first, still wound up dead. So obviously I was not a fan of that. I'm not going to sit here and blame that on the controls. I have a feeling that that's more of a glitch, lag error kind of thing. But it's still really obnoxious when it happens. Otherwise, the controls are perfect. I mean, this is a Call of Duty game. We've seen them do these controls before. They work. They always work. They're responsive. They work the way you expect them to, when you expect them to. Then there's lastly the graphics. It's a very good looking game, which again, not surprising. We've seen this in Call of Duty before. They make good looking games. But that having been said, there was nothing that was too visually unique in this game. It looked beautiful, which I guess helps. But again, nothing too unique in this game. Okay, so to wrap this up, to put it simply, it's a mediocre game. It's perfectly serviceable. It's far from the worst Call of Duty. It's far from the best Call of Duty. But I feel like people have already made up their minds as to whether or not they want to play this game or not. So whether I recommend it or not doesn't really matter. I would recommend this to a Call of Duty fan because it actually plays very well and it's not a horrible game. It's not the steaming pile of shit that everyone was anticipating because they went to space. Even the laser weapons, while I did avoid them, they work very well and they actually fit very well. They feel very satisfying. So the whole futuristic element of it isn't any worse than the futuristic elements from, I'd say, Black Ops 3. So simply, I recommend it to Call of Duty players, but like I said, most people have probably already made up their minds. Okay, in the comments below, why don't you tell me what shooter you think will sell the best? Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, or Call of Duty Infinite Warfare? Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share or subscribe. Have a good one.